Hello, Fred.
Bill, tell me if this is better.
Much better.
Okay, great.
S-
Well, so first of all, did they get you the book?
I do have a digital copy available.
Okay, great.
Yes. So let's remind everyone today we're talking with Fred Mollin. Am I pronouncing your last name correctly?
That's correct. Yeah.
And everyone, I mean, Fred's had an incredible career spanning film scores, television compositions, and collaborations with a wide range of artists. His book, Unplugged, is available right now and offers a fascinating look into his experiences into these fields. Fred, thank you so much for taking time to speak with me this morning.
I'm delighted to be here.
Wonderful. Now, first off, let's let everyone know what is the best outlet for people to get their hands on this book.
Well, you can probably, it's available for pre-sale now. It comes out May 11th, but you can get it, of course, on the normal channels of Amazon.com or Barnes& and Noble, and hopefully some nice bookstores where you are.
Yes.
If you want an autographed copy, you can go to Fred Mollin Unplugged, and that's Mollin, fredmollinunplugged.com. And there's a website there, and we can facilitate me signing books for that person, and that is up and running now.
All right, wonderful. Unplugged, great title for this book. Of course, I couldn't read it all in 2 days, but but did the Evelyn Woods speed reading course. And for those of you out there who are under 50, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But
Well, I'm glad you did the Evelyn Wood. That's good.
oh yeah, did a real cursory read, and Unplugged dives into your journey in the music industry, among other things. Now, what inspired you to write this book, and what do you hope readers will take away from it?
Well, I mean, I've had a life in music since really I was 16, and I'm 72 now, and it's been a really joyful ride, and I wanted people to share in some of the joy that I've had through this incredible adventure of a life in music, and I felt like all the behind-the-scenes stories of different artists I've worked with, as well as different productions I was involved with. I think it's interesting to people who want to know a little more behind the curtain.
Yeah, most definitely, because a lot of us don't have that look behind that curtain to see what's really going on. So this is definitely a really good look into that life that you have made a career out of and lived. And now you've worked with an impressive array of artists. Can you share maybe a particularly memorable collaboration that shaped your approach to music?
Well, I've been doing it for so long that everything I do, I learn from, and so producing records early on. I was 20 when I produced the first Dan Hill album, and I was 23 when we produced Sometimes When We Touch, which turned out to be sort of a legendary, iconic record over these years. And I just think that every experience for me is a learning experience. And certainly working with, I've been so fortunate because I've worked with the most amazing, legendary artists over the years. So, every time you have a chance to work with someone like Johnny Mathis, for instance, who's turning 90, I've done 4 albums with John, and, just to be able to understand the depth of his history and what it meant to the world, to work with someone like Johnny, or to work with someone like, for instance, a behind-the-scenes person. I did an album for Lamont Dozier, part of the Holland
Yep.
Motown songwriting team, who wrote all the Supremes' greatest hits. He wrote Four Top's greatest hits. I mean, literally, this was an amazing record to do because I had Lamont sort of for the first time ever do his own music, very unplugged, very intimately. And so, we did songs like, Where Did Our Love Go, Stop in the Name of Love, Baby, I Need Your Lovin', all these wonderful songs, How Sweet It Is, he wrote, and we did this beautiful, very, very intimate, unplugged album called Reimagination. But, working with people like that, working with Lamont and getting to talk to him about, the beginnings of Motown. And, Motown changed the world, as an example of what you're asking about. The Motown music was black music that appealed to white as well as black,
Yes.
and really was a key part of integration in the world. And I think that Motown changed the world. I think the Beatles changed the world. So again, any chance I've had to work with people who have been pioneers, I would say that is where I get tremendous. Well, first of all, I get unbelievable inspiration, but secondly, I get full of incredible stories, and again, I learn so much.
Now you made the leap from music to film, and your film scores have ranged from horror to heartfelt dramas. You've done TV shows like 90210. How do you adapt your composing style to fit such different genres?
You just take the gig and you do it. It isn't.
Suck it up.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I guess I'm good at is I can do a lot of different kinds of music. Uh, it feels natural. It doesn't seem like a hardship to me. So, if anything, initially when I started composing for TV and film, and I sort of fell into that in around 1985. I thought I'd be the guy who would get the more emotional, melodic type scoring, and instead I wound up doing tons of horror and sci-fi and action adventure stuff. And on occasion they would let me do something. I'd do a movie that had some emotional content, and I would actually love that because I felt I was probably better at that. But I just did whatever was called upon. I mean, I don't think I've ever turned down a job really unless I didn't like the people I was working with.
You sound a bit like a chameleon. You just go in, you just adapt to the project, and just get moving with it.
I think that was the way that I needed to survive. I can't, this is my story, not anybody else's, but, my story was that I needed to be a chameleon and to be able to, when someone called and said, hey, can you do a lullaby album of instrumental like an instrumental versions of Walt Disney music, and make it really meditative and sort of just new age and put the child to bed music. And I said, of course I can. I'd never done it before, but I knew I could. So I think that's the key is that a lot of musicians like myself, I think have to be able to be chameleons and just to take things on. And of course, the people who are good at what they do, we get through it.
Yeah, and I think what you're saying there too is even if you don't have the knowledge, but you have that commanding confidence going into it, it will show you what you need to do along the way, I think.
Yeah, I think that my confidence is born out of just again this. The belief that I can do the job. I don't think it's anything that I never feel arrogant, and at times my confidence is strictly visual, and inside I'm not so confident. So I think it's important to know that again, it's not everybody follows the same musical path or paths that I've followed, but I think the key here is as a freelance person making their music creatively. And making it in any way they can to keep the bills paid, it's an honorable effort.
Now, what advice would you give to an aspiring composer, writer, producer looking to break into film and television scoring?
Well, it's a very different world now. I was scoring TV and film in 1985, and I kept going, relentless amounts of work, very successful. I was very grateful, and it was a hell of a run. But I ended it in 2001. Now, since 2001 up till now, that particular business and how you make the music and how you get the jobs and how you get paid has changed so much. So I can tell you that first of all, if you decide you want to write music for television and film, you have way more competition than we've ever had. And we also have situations where many TV shows, especially, the ones that don't have huge budgets, will almost literally not pay the person to write the score,
Sure.
knowing that they will get their back end from the airplay. And many shows don't really have airplay. They're just streamed. And so, I mean, we're looking at a different situation. I was fortunate to be able to score television and film I walked away from it in 2001, but I was very fortunate for those 15, 16 years, because those were years when broadcast television was paying so well on the back end for your music, and at the same time, my competition was not as deep. But now that anybody can score a television show on their laptop,
Yeah. Yep.
there's lots of people out there who will say, "Hey, I'll do it for nothing," you know, and there may be someone really good who just wants to get a leg up.
Yes.
So I think the key here is, if you're really dead set on being a TV and film composer, and scoring these things, television series, television movies at all, I think you have to, certainly when you're starting now, I think you have to be expecting the competition to be fierce,
Yes.
and B, to know that if you do get a job, you may not get a lot of money initially, and you may be building a career that is not going to be very profitable for a while.
Wow.
And that's only if you get really lucky, because I think, there's no question about it. I mean, the technology that we love that gets us through so much now has also made a lot of things much less profitable. So, I never thought I would see a day where recorded music was free, but it is.
I mean, you literally opened the door at the right time and shut the door at the right time behind you.
I think so, and I
Yeah.
didn't do it. I didn't do it knowing I would have that sort of timing. I did it because I had done 16 years of nonstop scoring and was just burnt out.
Now, looking back on your career, is there a particular project that stands out as the most personally meaningful to you?
You're talking about the TV and film years, or?
Anything in general
Oh,
that you've worked on?
well, again, I have, the records I've produced, they're all my children,
Mm.
so I love them all. But the ones I think that have made the most noise, or, you know, created a situation, for instance, I produced an album in 1996 for Jimmy Webb, and I've worked with Jimmy since 1978, and I consider Jimmy to be probably one of the top three songwriters in the history of song.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Jimmy. He's part of my family, and we've worked together for so long together. But in '96, I was in the middle of my film and TV years, but I was able to find some time and make an album that I had suggested of Jimmy doing his most famous songs unplugged, very intimately, for the first time ever, people hearing him sing his most famous songs that other people had done.
Right.
The album was called 10 Easy Pieces. And even though it didn't sell millions of copies, you would see it on many desert island disc lists,
Ah.
because people have such an emotional attachment to that album. So that is probably the most, that would probably be on my gravestone, and Jimmy and I joke about it. It'll be like, instead of Jimmy Webb, America's greatest songwriter, it'll say he did 10 easy pieces, and I'm afraid that mine would also say that, because that record has meant so much to so many that you can't help feeling a lot of pride about
Yes.
that.
And he actually did movie scores as well for like Hanoi Hilton and Tell Them Willie Boy is Here and such. So you guys are kind of very similar.
Well, Jimmy has an incredible gift of being able to orchestrate. I'm not able to fully orchestrate. I can read music kind of, but I'm a self-taught person. Jimmy really actually could do big orchestral scores. He only did a few, and actually I worked with him on Hanoi Hilton. That was done, I guess, in the late '80s. But Jimmy did a few scores, but his capability, you have to remember, when he was 21 years old, he wrote, produced, and arranged MacArthur Park,
Right.
which at 22 or 21 years old, and that is unbelievable, and that shows, who Jimmy was and is. But yeah, I mean, I think that again, we have some similarities, but I find Jimmy to be a very unique, one of a kind character.
Let's remind everyone today we're talking with Fred Mollin, whose new book, Unplugged, offers a glimpse into his incredible career spanning film scores, television compositions, and compilations with a wide range of artists. I just want to thank you so much for taking time again for talking with us today. absolute pleasure. And this book again comes out May 11th, and you can get it just about any retailer, Barnes and Noble, Amazon.com, just about anywhere books are sold. So definitely get your copy of it. And you had mentioned at the beginning also that there are autographed copies available. And where can people go to get that again?
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you. If you go to Fred Mollin, Mollin, Unplugged, all one word, fredmollinunplugged.com, that's a website that will facilitate an autographed copy of the book.
Wonderful. Now, we like to do giveaways here. And is there any way we can get our hands on one signed copy that we can give away to a lucky listener?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, I'll get with Joanne and we'll arrange that. And again, thank you so much, Fred. It's been an honor and a pleasure. And we'll get this turned around and get it out to you right away.
Well, again, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Very welcome. Enjoy your day. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Bye, buddy.